Hello, my gorgeous people, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining my channel today. Um, these are all my thoughts and opinions based on the public information out there. I'm very sad today because I criticize the monarchy in many things. I criticize the royal family, but I love the Queen. Nobody's perfect. You know, there's a saying in the Bible, I think the Bible is, those without sin throw the first stone. I cannot throw any stones, I can tell you that. But many people have criticized the Queen, including her children, especially Prince Charles. But I can tell you something. I do believe that the Queen had a huge burden. First, as being a very young female in a very male world back then. When she was belittled, her opinion was not very much taken into consideration, and she actually had to earn respect in a very male-dominated world. And yes, she was a working mom. She was the head of state. She is the head of state of many, many countries. So she did the best she could to raise her children. Her children were safe, well fed, well looked after, and enjoyed all kinds of privileges. That they didn't get to see her very often. Of course, that's part of the parcel. I am a working mom, especially when my kid was growing up. You know, I had to work because I had to feed my kid. I know that Her Majesty, and before any of the sugars jump on it, I know that Her Majesty didn't have to worry about feeding her kids, but she had to worry about being the head of state of God knows how many countries and learn on the job, you know. So she did the best she could, and I don't think she had the worst intentions, you know. Now, I have a friend of mine. She's one of my dear friends. She's a psychologist, well, psychiatrist basically. And she said to me, as a child, when people are abusing you or you're being in a bad environment, you have very limited options as to what you can do as a child without a support network. You know, when you grow up, you know the difference between right and wrong, unless of course you're insane, like properly insane. And you make your choices. You can either choose to go down the path of violence. For example, if you were beaten and abused as a child, and when you grow up, you can either be the same or be completely against it. It's the same with alcohol. If you grow in an alcoholic home where there's violence, you can either choose to become an alcoholic or choose to do the opposite. I have had those things in my life. I have had members of my family. You see members of the family raised by the same parents that turn out completely different. Case in point, Prince William and Prince Harry. They both grew up in a very loving, privileged environment. Sorry, that's my son sending me a message. A privileged environment. They both suffered the same loss, like for their mother, and they were overcompensated, if you wish, because of that. And yet they're both completely different. It's within the person. You know, and there's always this old age nurture versus nature, right? There's a saying in Spanish, you can't straighten out a crooked tree. I was reading now that Her Majesty the Queen has stripped Andrew of the HRH, all his military thing, all his patronages thing. Pretty much she turned him into a private citizen. She has to strip him of his dukedom as well, which she can do it, you know. And it goes to show you that I've been telling you that she can do it if she wants to. And because Parliament has not lied about that when they wrote to us and said that the Queen had complete authority over all royal, not peerages and aristocratic titles, royal titles. Okay, all the royal titles bestowed by a monarch are at the absolute pleasure and discretion of the monarch. Okay, but can you imagine We have this beautiful, and I adore her. We have this beautiful woman who has consecrated her life to the service of us. And I include myself in it because I am Canadian and she is my head of state. This beautiful, amazing, majestic, iconic lady shouldn't be having to strip her children because they're skanky. I want to preface this by saying I do not believe Virginia Roberts at all. I think she's a bloody predator. And since we're in this case right now, we have Rena O, a true victim of Jeffrey Epstein, suing Virginia Giuffre for defamation. We had 2 victims in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial who testified that Virginia Roberts was not SA. I'm going to say SX. SA. You know what SA means? That in fact, she recruited them. She participated. She willingly had sex with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, that she was actually one of the most prolific recruiters. And let's not forget that Virginia Roberts was 17 going on 18. She was not a minor as per UK laws. So even if Andrew ended up having sex with her, he didn't know what was happening. And apparently, again, by the testimony of another of the victims, Virginia Roberts texted her all proud of herself because she had sex with this guy, Andrew. Now, I can tell you one thing. I have been abused. SEX, SA'd myself. I have never, ever boasted about that. To friends. Oh, by the way, look, this happened to me. And she didn't say that she was SA by Prince Andrew. She said that she had this in a boastful way. I do not for 1 minute believe at all Virginia Roberts. And I think that unfortunately the way he went about it was wrong. He should have been aggressive. Had I been him, woof. But we are where we are, and I hope he fights it and clears his name, because God knows there are enough holes in this predatory woman's testimony to bring her down. It's a shame also that the UK judges did not see fit to hold Meghan Markle to those standards, because if there was ever a trial that needed to be had or held, it was the trial about what the lies that she said. Because it needed to be confronted or not, whether she actually wanted that letter private, and there was enough evidence to suggest otherwise. Yet, the UK judges, corrupt. I really hope that parliamentary thing passes. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because Her Majesty deserves better. I don't care. People are going to criticize. She doesn't deserve Charles. She doesn't deserve Andrew. She doesn't deserve Harry. She really does not deserve those 3 people. Because if there's anything about her that is amazing, is that this is a woman who's who serves others. Her whole life, as privileged as it was, has been to serve everybody. She's a servant and a master, at the same time. But she doesn't deserve this at 95 years of age. She doesn't deserve this. And here we go what happens when people with privileges are not held accountable. This is what happens when Parliament fails. Because in many ways, Parliament has failed the Queen. Because at the end of the day, the Queen is human. Those are her children. So this is why Parliament is there, to say, wait a minute, you can't do this, but these are the rules. This is why now we have Harry and Meghan Markle giving us probably children born out of surrogates without providing the documentation required to verify whether it's true that that child was born of her body. We have Harry lying to her, taking advantage of her love for him and lying to her with the likes of a skanko, because Meghan Markle is a skank. It's a skank. She's a low-life little rat, ugly little rat, who managed to sneak her way into it because the standards of the royal family has fallen down. Her Majesty the Queen deserves better. And it breaks my heart that she has to go through this because, I don't know if any of you are my viewers, are parents. You are parents and you have children. you know, and it's kind of like you do the best you can, you know, with your children, and then they turn out like that. But again, Parliament has failed the Queen because they should also know that she's human. They know that there are rules and protocols in place, that if the Queen, for whatever reason it is, or the monarch, can't enforce them due to sentimentality or whatever, they are there to enforce it for her. They could have taken those terrible decisions away from her hands and say, you know what, Madam, our most beautiful, most gracious Queen, may you long live, may you long reign even longer, because the world needs people like the Queen. We're going to take this away from you. We, Parliament, tell you that this is wrong, so we're going to do this and this and that. We have to enforce those rules. More than ever, we need those rules. Her Majesty the Queen doesn't deserve a Harry. She doesn't. Can you imagine? Do you think that Her Majesty the Queen deserves to have the likes of a fucking wanker, ginger wanker, and a low-life rat like Meghan Markle go on, waddle her way with that fake belly onto Oprah Winfrey's show and lie and slander everything Her Majesty the Queen has worked for without any consequences? That's what's making me really angry and really upset. That it's come to that we have low lives like Meghan Markle, ew, and Harry going into a national platform to lie and slander people because they didn't get more. They didn't get more. I wanted the Prince title. Well, you're not going to get it, bitch. And I hope that they don't. I hope that Parliament holds firm, because it's time for Parliament to step up the plate. Please let me know what you think. I got to tell you something. I was talking to my lawyer today. This is so funny. He doesn't know I have a YouTube channel where I call out all the wrongdoings from Harry and Meghan Markle. In my case, he was handling my case. He handles my case. And he goes, Paula, I don't know if you know about this show called Suits. And I looked at him and I go, I've heard of it. And he goes, well, you know, in that show, they always look like they're going downhill. And then suddenly they have a Suits moment. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's like everything is going down and then they find this document. And that saves the case. And I go, uh-huh. And then he goes, I found that document in your case and I can't believe. So I had my suit moment. And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to say anything because he was so proud of himself. And he goes, and I can't believe that Norway's still going ahead with this. And I've been like lawyer for many years and I've never seen anything like this. And I said, well, I've been telling you this all along. He goes, yes, but I didn't have it in writing. I found my suit document. And then he said, he started recommending the show. And I said, are you a Meghan Markle fan? And he goes, who's that? Even though he's a Suits guy. And I said, well, she's the girlfriend. Oh, the girlfriend of the guy. He goes, I don't know. I watch the guy because he's a lawyer, obviously. So even though he watches the show, he didn't really know Meghan Markle's name because he knows her as the girlfriend from the lawyer. And does the Queen deserve Meghan and Harry having those low lives in that show? Huh? Do you think that the Queen deserved Prince Charles' book in 1994 and his subsequent interview because everybody called him out about the book? And then he continued to trash his parents after the book. Everybody called for his thing. The Queen doesn't deserve that. Do you think the Queen deserves Prince Andrew? Of course not. She deserves better. Please let me know what you think. Do follow me on Getter. I am just heartbroken. The Queen deserves better. And yeah, please like, share, and subscribe. We have the likes of Harry and Meghan Markle, the likes of Prince Andrew, and the likes of Prince Charles. This is what happened when overprivileged people are allowed to run amok. And I think it's time for Parliament to step in and put an end to all of these abuses. But what do you guys think? Please do let me know.